evening. Thank you for taking time out, to be a part of the Adire workshop or masterclass, whichever one you want to call it. And before we go into the practical session, I'm going to give you a brief history, something small, not too long.
She can interpret it for you, that's what the agenda. Translation of information. The people listen.
Adire, as we call it, is a fabric that dates back. It's actually a textile technology that dates back to thousands of years ago. That was originated in Ile-Ife by Orunmila Baba Ifa. But over the years, it's evolved into different types and different methods have been used where the fabric, a fabric like this, we have different methods that we use to resist the dye on the fabric. So we have the Adire Eleko. Can I have a sample, please? If you look at this beautiful pattern here, we call this the Adire Eleko. This means the cassava resist process. So we use cassava paste, to draw different patterns on the fabric before soaking the fabric into the dye. And then when we take the fabric out of the dye for processing, the bits that we have put cassava paste on, it resists the dye and it comes out with these beautiful patterns. I think we do have a sample here. So this is what it looks like before we put it in the dye. So this is cassava paste. Yes. All of this is cassava, starch or cassava, yes. Yes, starch. Yes. And then when this goes into the dye, obviously this dissolves. And then the white bits here, they would absorb the dye, but this would not absorb the dye, it would resist the dye. And this is the ancient method that dates back to thousands and thousands and thousands of years ago. So this is what we call the Adire Eleko. Thank you. We also have the Adire Oniko. The Adire Oniko means it's another resist process, but this one is where you knot the fabric like this before you dip it into the dye. So once again it goes into the dye, but the bits that you have knotted would not absorb dye. So by the time you take it out and you undo the knotting, then you come up with the beautiful designs like this. We also have the Adire Alabere. We call this the stitch resist process. As you can see, it's all stitched together. Once again, when you put it in dye, the bits that have been stitched would not absorb the dye like this. You see all of this here? So this is the stitch resist process. And the last but not the least is the wax resist process, which we're going to demonstrate today. Wax. We melt the wax, it has to become watery, so hot wax. So this is it, and we put it in here to melt it. And then with our, with our designs, different designs of our stamp, we put it on the fabric, and then again, when we put it in dye, it would resist the dye. So basically what Adire means, or what it is, it's a textile technology that allows you to use these 4 different methods to create beautiful patterns on fabrics. And then the patterns, once you put them in the dyes, whatever color you put them in, whatever pattern you put on it, or whatever method you use, you would always get a unique result because they would all resist the dyeing process. So, and that is what Adire basically means. Are, we resist the fabric, and then we soak the fabric in dyes. Okay? Thank you. So this evening we are going to demonstrate the wax resist process.